Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin of RBWins.com. And like every Monday, I'm joined by that handsome gentleman on the other side of me, the man with the plan, Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. This is our college basketball betting edition. And we're going to have a couple free picks for you on Tuesday the 15th. Before we get to that, though, I got to know, how was the golf tournament this weekend, Doug?
Well, I think you, like probably most people, at least pretty much anywhere you looked, you saw the one thing that occurred, which was the hole-in-one on 16 well, it turns out on Saturday and Sunday. Did you happen to see that?
No, I did not. No, I
Okay.
didn't.
All right. So they had a hole-in-one. So, there's 50-some thousand people at the hole, and a guy gets a hole-in-one. And all it takes is one person. But like in hockey, when somebody has a hat trick,
they throw the hats on the ice.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it was beer bottles that people were throwing on the golf course.
Oh man.
And it was just a sea of them, coming down. And it obviously took them quite a while to clean up, because that was the first hole-in-one since 2015. And
wow.
It's almost impossible to get.
I'm assuming a par 3, right, Doug?
Yeah, I'm sorry, correct. Yes, par 3. Good size par 3, by the way. Good length. I want to say 185 or 170, something like that. You have to get people line up to get on there at 3:30 in the morning most days, and so I'm not one of those.
Yeah.
So, but I was on the 17th hole, and we heard the roar, and it was a roar that was unlike that you normally hear. There's usually several roars throughout the day on birdie putts, et cetera, but this one was definitely different. So it kind of had a feeling something was up, and then saw later, exactly what it was and who it was. So that was unique. And then so it had been since 2015, and so then there was one the next day. So two of them for the tournament, and basically the same thing happened with all the beer bottle stuff like that. And it's fun and stuff like that. The only thing I guess I had a little bit of a problem with is, and it's an aluminum can, but a couple of them were close to both golfers. Yeah. It's it just creates an unnecessary problem. Now, hey, I'm all for having fun, and just don't want to see something happen to somebody.
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of that, throwing things on the ice, throwing things on the I'm assuming the green, the courts, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just too dangerous a proposition. Yes, you paid your money to get in, and you paid handsome to get in there, and you have the right to boo, cheer, and do whatever you want within the law. But that's at the end of the day, you might be putting somebody in harm's way. Not right. To speak like a grandfather to his grandson, but that's just my thoughts. And I'll say one thing, Doug. It's a good thing the tournament wasn't in Detroit. Because they would have been throwing octopuses on the green.
Right. Now, speaking of in harm's way, so we were on the 17th hole, and it wasn't the group the following group. It was another one after that. I'm going to let the guy's name go, the pro, but he ended up hitting one literally that landed 5 feet from us. And it landed in a cactus bush, and. And we could.
What were you guys doing sitting in the cactus?
No, it's right there. It's like.
Oh, okay.
It's about.
All right. I just, it sounded like you were residing in a cactus bush.
No, it was literally though like 5 feet from us. It's like the rope, the fairway, and it was just right there. And so this guy comes over, and the thing you have to understand is there's a 3-tier stands, behind, which is there is no other golfers, anything like that. So. He comes over, he's angry. You can see the look on his face. There is literally thousands of people looking down on him, from where they're at. Nobody's saying much, and then there's the crowd that I was in that was right there. So that's another couple hundred people within proximity of 20 feet from. So he's got to, dig out the ball, look to the green, try and figure out where he's going to hit the ball. He just was, I haven't seen a golfer that, disgusted. I guess maybe I'll clean it up a little bit, that in some time. And so then I know you don't play golf or anything like that, but then he got to drop his ball. So he was in literally the cactus bush, got to drop it. First time it rolls like 20 feet away. Drops it again, rolls 20. So he has to go pick it up every time. So then everybody's kind of, a couple boos like start coming out. And it's like, you can just see he's getting, so finally he drops it. everything's fine. He gets to hit it out, gets a few, laughs and chuckles and everything else, and probably had his picture taken by at least 1,000 people, with their phones. It was a funny experience to be that close to see somebody, because I've been around this for a long time, and see somebody that angry. I've seen some interesting things where you get up by golfers that you don't always see even on television. So it was fun. So, but yes, in terms of, so it was a wonderful time. The weather was beyond perfect and everything was great. Okay. It's a, for anybody that's even not a golf fan, which is probably 2/3 or at least a half the audience on a Saturday, it's a once in a lifetime experience. Well worth it. I can tell you that.
Well, that's good. Did you go on Sunday to final round as well?
No, I never go on Sundays because, well, I got stuff to do. And then, of course, with the Super Bowl, I don't want to go there on Sundays and come back and stuff like that. That's the least attended day, though. Okay. And it has to do with the Super Bowl because almost always, since I've been here, as far as I can remember, it's always on Super Bowl Sunday or Super Bowl weekend.
Well, I'm glad you had fun at somebody else's paying expense.
Well, it's the least I could do.
Yeah, exactly. So, before we're going to talk Super Bowl too, folks. So before we get to that, just a friendly reminder, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. It costs you absolutely nothing while you're in there. Make sure you hit that notification bell and you'll be alerted immediately upon any of our sports betting videos being published on this channel. So subscribe, folks, and don't forget at the end of the video, if you enjoy what you hear, if you're enjoying your listening and you're picking up some tips along the way, give us a like. It's just a small token of your appreciation for our efforts, and we would deeply appreciate it. Thank you. Doug, the Super Bowl, very close game. Okay. You can't ask for much more. I mean, the Rams scored with a little over a minute to go to take the lead by 3, and I don't know about you, but I would have bet anything Joe Burrow was going to drive him down the field, and McPherson was going to crush one from about 55 to 58 yards to tie it, but that's not what occurred. And I was happy because the game stayed under, because that field goal would have, definitely, I would not have won the game barring a safety in overtime. I lost my Rams -4 pick, but I did at the last, probably 2 hours before game time, said, you know what, I'm going to cover this pick. And I never do this, but I laid 2-1 on the Rams on the money line, Doug, and I bailed myself out of that side pick and made a profit with the under. How'd you do?
Yeah, I just had the Bengals plus the 4.5, placed the picks. And then on the, hit a couple of props. Okay. Didn't hit them all. I think I lost just a little bit on the props, but I'm not a huge props player. I'll be honest with you, but with the Super Bowl, felt compelled to do it, and a lot of interest in that topic. And then for the free pick that I gave out several different free picks for the Super Bowl, but on Sunday I decided, I'm going to look at this one more time. And so I did. And so I gave out the teaser on Bengals plus 10.5 and the over 42.5. So
wow, good for you.
Worked out too.
Yeah, so, fantastic. Yeah. Another winning day for Doug Upstone. And boy, oh boy, the Bills and the Chiefs got to be scratching their head watching this game, saying, how are we not there? And secondly, how do we not win it all after watching the Rams win that game? Doug, no running game. Speaking of prop bets, I made one yesterday. I bet Odell Beckham Jr. to go over 60.5 yards receiving at money line odds of plus 195. I got it at my New York State Sportsbook. And he had 52 yards on 2 catches and then goes down with that injury. That leads me to now the rest of the game. I guess Van Jefferson's kid is okay, but Skoranek, the rookie out of Notre Dame or second-year player out of Notre Dame, whatever he was, to me, he's not a legitimate wide receiver in the NFL, and not yet anyway. Yeah. And, all you got to do now is shut down Cooper Kupp. Easier said than done, and it didn't get done. The Rams had no running game. And Cincinnati is 1 minute away from being a world champion, despite the fact that they only scored 7 touchdowns in 4 postseason games and allowed 19 sacks. Now, they had 19 sacks, doesn't stop there. They allowed 51 in the regular season, which was the 3rd most. So they allowed 70 sacks in 21 games this year, and they came this close to winning the Super Bowl. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, on that topic, I understand what you're saying. Okay. And in fact, I commented to this on Twitter today, is that I saw a number of people on Twitter just discussing who was actually the best team in football this year. Yeah. Okay. And my answer is this: the Los Angeles Rams.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's nothing, everybody had their chance. And if we're handing out awards best on the best team, well, then we shouldn't have any playoffs. We should, the team that has the best record, in the NFL, that should be who gets it. We don't need any of this other nonsense. Just give it to that. But you know what? We do have that. So you know what? They were a 4 seed. Okay. So, which seldom happens. And they got the job done. And that's what matters. And at the biggest moments, and they talked about extensively, I watched the ESPN, at the biggest moments of the game, the biggest players with the biggest names came through. Yeah. And that's, what? So I'm happy for the Rams. Was the game often, it was, even though it was close, was it often somewhat dull? Yeah, it was. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, didn't you get to a point, Doug, where you said, how is the Rams going to move the ball? They can't run it. OBJ's out. You got one guy who's getting doubled all the time in Cooper Kupp, and unproven receivers beyond that. So, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, how did the Rams do so well before they brought Odell Beckham aboard? Now, when I say Odell Beckham, I'm not saying that he's the star he was maybe a few years ago, but you know what? It's a number 2 wideout that opens up the field for Cooper Kupp. That's what I'm looking at from that aspect, Doug. And it just seemed like there was a period there in the second half, especially until that last drive, really, where he said, how's the Rams going to move the ball?
Yeah, and I also saw this as criticism, and this part of the criticism I can't say is wrong. I think Sean McVay's play calling was way too conservative, especially during the period of time that you're talking about. Yeah. Because through the course of the season, and this even goes back, you say how they moved the ball before. Well, they had Robert Woods before, and that was the other thing, and they had Higbee, so they had some other weapons. So they were down and out, and I don't know if it was just the assumption, that Cooper Kupp is being doubled, so we have to look elsewhere. Well, I've seen the Rams play enough times. They had enough games where, it just throw the ball to Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Figure it out, It's up. He gets open virtually all the time. Give him the chance, to get open. And in fact, I was sitting there with my wife, and I said to her, just as on that 4th down run, I said, and I saw where Kupp was lined up. I go, watch this. 10's going to get the ball. He did. Yeah. Got the first down.
And that wasn't a given. He made a nice move at the line of scrimmage, to get that first down.
Right. If he hadn't cut it up, it would have been dragged outside. It would have been Cincinnati's ball. But so that, and that's the thing, is that it's like in all sports, for the most part, you have to go to your playmakers in order to get things done. And that's exactly what happened. So, congratulations to them.
Oh, yeah.
Cincinnati just didn't have quite enough. Okay.
And I agree with your position 100%. Why even have the playoffs and play the Super Bowl if you're just going to award the winner to whoever had the best record during the regular season? If that's the case, why not just hand Tennessee, who was the number 1 seed in Green Bay, to go into the play, and they both lose first round games because they were both number 1 seeds. So anyway, I agree. I agree. But still, when you stop and watch that game and you're a fan of Green Bay, you're a fan of Buffalo, you're a fan of Kansas City, you're a fan of the Tampa Bay Bucks, you're saying, we're better than both of these teams. How are we not there? Anyway, it is what it is,
Yeah, hey, look in the mirror. That's an easy
answer. Exactly. Well, in Buffalo's case, because they're my team, I will say this. All they need to do, they can't blame anybody but themselves. How do you allow a team to go 44 yards in 10 seconds and kick the game-winning or game-time field goal. So you got nobody to blame but your defense, who was atrocious in that game, and the defensive calls, not only in that last drive, those 2 plays, but in overtime. And in Green Bay's case, what excuse can you have? You scored 10 at home, with an MVP quarterback. And it seems to be an ongoing theme with the Packers, not to pick on your team, Doug, but they have fabulous regular seasons, and then when it comes time to shine with home field advantage, they fall apart for whatever reason. So anyway, any final thoughts on the Super Bowl before we move on?
Yeah, nothing other than that. Like I say, it was, as always, it was fun. Okay, and there was enough different things going on, and so I don't know about you, Ross. When I see them come out with the odds immediately afterwards, I got to tell you, I can care less.
No, I know it's like anticlimactic. Really, we're going to talk about. Don't you have anything else to bring up?
I mean, I know they're there. And it starts a conversation, but it just.
I mean, in hindsight, just think of what Cincinnati was possibly the day after the Super Bowl last year. I don't know if you have that information, but I got to think that they were 100-1 or better, right, or greater, I should say, to win it all. So I guess if you don't mind sitting on a ticket for 12 months. Which not a lot of sports bettors do because they want instantaneous gratification. If you got that kind of money where you don't worry about it and just cash it, stow it away, that's fine. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not saying I don't have the money, but I'm just not one of those. I don't making futures picks to start with, Doug. You know what I mean? Because then I feel married to that team all year.
Yes.
In our industry,
And it can influence your thought process on a weekly basis too.
Yeah, exactly right.
So from that standpoint, I will say one last thing. Okay. And we've talked about this, let's just say over the years. I like how in life, how fate steps in for certain things. And you mentioned, Beckham Jr. You mentioned, I think of Von Miller, and specifically, I think of Eric Weddle. And I just find it absolutely amazing how life is, how sometimes in life things like that happen to certain people. I don't know.
It's a feel-good story. It certainly is.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you spent all those years with the Chargers, good teams knocking on the door. Never got to a Super Bowl. Gets picked up off the street in the middle of the year this year. Not even middle of the year, near the end, right, Doug? The last 3 weeks of the year.
He played 5 games.
Yeah.
And the one thing that nobody said, okay, and I saw him immediately. So he's playing safety. If he weighed 175 pounds, I would say that would be a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he was 200 plus before. He was nowhere near that level of weight. Now, it was never brought up, and it doesn't matter, but it was amazing to me that he could play even basically as well as he did at that weight, playing a safety.
Yeah, I think a couple times he stuck his nose in there like he was still 200 pounds. And you saw what happened yesterday. He got bruised up to his shoulder. But anyway, yes, that is a nice story. And Von Miller, of course, spoke on and said that he dedicated the game to his former teammate, Demaryius Thomas. So that was a nice story as well. You got to give the Rams credit. I mean, look, they went out there and they got Matthew Stafford. It traded away Jared Goff, got Matthew Stafford, who got the best of that deal. Guess what? The Rams did. They brought in OBJ. Everybody said, well, he's nothing but a cancer. The guy did nothing but produce down the stretch. Eric Weddle, this guy's washed up. I mean, are you that desperate? You're bringing in a safety off the street that's 20 pounds, 30 pounds less than his normal playing weight and going to put him at safety? Again, another brilliant move. So the Rams front office, general manager, head coaching staff, or the coaching staff who probably had a lot of input in those players coming in midseason or later, give them a lot of credit, Doug. Those were some excellent moves.
Yeah, and let's face it, so we're talking 2022. So I'm going to say 2025, 2026 for sure. They will be in last place and in their division, okay, because they have no draft picks coming. Free agency is going to wipe some guys out as we go along. But you know what? Forever, they'll have that ring.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, if you're going to sell out, then you want to win it all, because like you said, to lose that game and then face the prospects of what you just alluded to is a daunting task. And it could take a toll on a front office. It could take a toll on a coaching staff where those moves are made and there's not a lot of chess pieces they could bring in. So, hey, congratulations to the Rams. Anyway, college basketball. I'm coming off a 5-1 Saturday, Doug. I had a nice 10-star top play on Ohio State, plus the points at Michigan, and they won that game outright. And a good day for me. How'd you do in college basketball?
Russ, the overall, I think for the weekend, I ended up, I think it was 3-5. Okay. Overall. So certainly wasn't my best weekend, but still, hey, on a nice 14-8 run. Okay. So still things are still going well. You're not going to win every single day. We all know that. So, was I happy about it? Of course not, but I'm certainly not discouraged. I'm trending the right way. So I'm looking to, keep things going in the right direction. And, we're as of today, we're less than 4 weeks, or actually you could say, just over 4 weeks from the start of the NCAA tournament.
Bring it on. Tuesday. That's what's good about having the Super Bowl late, right? Right. You're not depressed. You got to keep the juices flowing, buddy. Yep. So anyway, well, I didn't mean to bring it up that you had a substandard, but over the long haul, Doug, again, you could find Doug at DocSports.com. Docs has been around this year, 50 years in business. So like I've said on numerous occasions, and I'll continue to say, longevity in this business speaks volumes, because we just in our 20 years in this business, both of us, we've seen a lot of people come and go. We've seen a lot of people come in that think that they had to brainstorm how to take over the industry and fail miserably. And Doc Sports continues to tick along 50 years. Great handicappers at that site, including Doug Upstone, very well-run site. And again, we've been around for 20 years apiece, so that speaks volumes as well. Doug, what do you got for us in college basketball for Tuesday, February the 15th?
Well, I'm looking at a Colonial Conference clash, not something everybody would necessarily look at on a Tuesday, but I am. And Hofstra comes into this one in third place in their conference, and they're facing and traveling on the road to Elan, who is actually right now tied for 6th. Now, Hofstra has won 4 in a row, Ross, and 8 of their last 10, and is a good shooting club, shooting almost 47% as a team. Now, the Pride, their offense is consistent now, but in those last 10 games, they're just 5-5 against the spread. And the problem, well, it's their defense. Sometimes it's good. That's when they win and cover. But when they don't play as well on defense, that's when they struggle. And that's all 5 of their losses. They allowed a shooting percentage, I believe, of at least 45% or more. Okay, in those games with those losses against the spread. Now they're facing a Elan team that has alternated wins and losses, in this case, losses and wins, and putting together a 3-4 record in their last 7 games. They're only 4-8 straight up in their last dozen starts, covering 5 of those. Like most teams, the Phoenix shoot the ball well at home. Okay, they're 7-4 straight up in Central North Carolina. Hofstra opened as a 4-point favorite, and just before we started to do this video, they went up to 6. So that takes a little bit away from what I'm thinking here, but I'm still going to stick with my original plan here, because over the years, when Hofstra is a 6-point or less road favorite, they're 42-22.
Wow.
When that's the case. And if they are off 2 games, road games, in which they were won by 10 or more points, they are 12-2 against the spread, against a Colonial Conference rival. Elan, they have struggled all season, Ross, against teams that protect the basketball. And when a team has given up 12 or fewer turnovers, they are 1-7 against the spread. So in this battle of teams, okay, that have their nickname without an S to end, okay, I'll take the road favorite, the Hofstra Pride, in this skirmish to get the job done at -6.
You be the only one that would come up with a a fact.
That
like
comment.
That.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% agree with you.
You got either way too much time on your hands or about the most creative guy that I've ever met in my life. But I'm going to go with the latter anyway. So again, Doug, you're going to take Hofstra latest 6 at Elon, correct?
Correct.
All right, let's keep the winners coming. I'm going to take a look at a Big East matchup, with no pun intended, is number 10 Villanova travels to the Dunkin's Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island, to take on the number 8 Providence Friars. You know, Doug, Villanova is -4.5 in this game on the road. And it's I got to believe that Providence at some point is going to get a chip on their shoulder, because they just don't seem to get any respect, despite the fact they're 21-2. They're 14-0 at home, and now they're an underdog. They've won 8 straight games. And as an underdog this season, they've been an underdog 7 times, Doug. They're 7-0 straight up in ATS as an underdog to boot. Yet they find themselves as a healthy 4.5-point underdog, considering, with all considered, I should say. Now, Villanova has had 2 true road games this year against teams that are currently ranked at UCLA and also at Baylor, and didn't fare well. They went 0-2 straight up in ATS in those 2 games. They also lost at Marquette, who just dropped out of the top 25 this week. While Providence, they got some quality wins of their own. I mean, this is a Friars team that's knocked off number 15 Wisconsin, number 11 Texas Tech, number 24 UConn, and also knocked off Marquette as well, who just dropped out of the top 25. So Providence, by the way, they've won 2 of the last 3 meetings against Villanova, which surprised me a little bit. So the Friars, like I said, I think they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder. Here is a 21-2 team, ranked number 8 in the country. They're a underdog against a lower ranked team. And I think it's a statement game for Ed Cooley's club to show, hey, you know what? We're for real, folks. You better wake up to that. And I'm going to take the Providence Friars here, plus the 4.5 at home over Villanova. And Doug Upstone, he likes the Hofstra Pride minus the 6 over the Elon Phoenix on Tuesday, February 15th. You know, folks, if you joined us on Thursday and Friday, me and Doug, me and Chip, we want to combine 4-0. So let's keep it going, Doug. No pressure. We need to win today, too. Go 2-0 and really get the momentum going for the folks out there, the loyal viewers that we have. Doug, what do you got coming up this week, and what could you enlighten the folks on what to expect?
Yeah, so with football out of the way until the USFL starts, and by the way, that's in April, just for anybody that's interested. So we're good to go now. We got right in the headlights now. We got the college basketball tournaments coming up. You know, just some of the smaller schools are done in just a few weeks, and so we got that coming up, and so everything gravitates towards that. So we got that, as I mentioned. Yes, I had a little bit of not the weekend I anticipated. It's all right. Okay, we move on. We look ahead, and so on a nice track right now. So looking forward to another big weekend coming up of college basketball picks. The NBA 14-6 run. Okay, nice. So that's been solid. NHL 18-11. Okay, on the ice. That's been a good run. So just have, it's just in a good groove right now, Ross.
Very good.
Okay?
Very good, Doug.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. And of course, we talked briefly about golf. Riviera, the Riviera Country Club this week, one of the premier places in the country to play. Great golf course. Looking forward to that. So yeah. Big weekend ahead. Excited to get it going and make some things happen and make people not only watching this video money, but those also that stop by and check me out at Doug Upstone page at Doc Sports.
One of the finest handicappers in the country, folks, at one of the legendary websites in the sports handicapping industry, DocSports.com. You could find me at rbwins.com, and I'm been on a nice roll in the NBA as well. I've gone 13-5 with my last 18 in the NBA, which is good for 72%. like I alluded to Saturday, a nice 5-1 day in college basketball. My only loss, I had Navy -3.5 over Army. Doug, they only won by 3, and they missed 2 free throws with 5 seconds to go. Anyway, it was a great day. I had Ohio State on top with my 10-star top play, and my college basketball 10-star top plays since February 27th of 2018 are now 90 and 65, which is good for 58%. If you do the math and you bet $1,000 a game, you're making a lot of money. If you bet $100 a game, you're making a lot of money. Also, all my picks since January 28th, 39 and 25. That's in all sports, college basketball, the NBA, and the NFL. Now it's just going to be basketball with 39 and 25, 61% run on all picks. That's rbwins.com, where you pay a little to make a lot. Doug, we'll be back on Thursday, and I'm going to pick your brain a little bit on the upcoming golf tournament coming up as well. By then, you had made all your picks and probably have some opinions. And we'll talk a little NBA on Thursday, Doug.
Let's do it again. I'm ready to go, Ross. You know that.
I look forward to it. For Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, thank you for joining us, folks. Take care and God bless.